What is up, everybody? I know everyone's pumped up for my special guest today. I thank you guys for all the kind words in the group. I am always happy to bring in anyone that you guys want. I will do my best because it's always great to get access to some of the greatest minds in internet marketing. And today I've got a special treat. And, I've been following Anik for oh man, my business is almost 7 years old. So I've been following him since the very beginning of my online marketing journey. And so I'm super excited for today. Anik Singal is hands down one of my favorite marketers. And I don't really follow a lot of internet marketers because sometimes it could just muddy the water, right? You ever feel like that? Like you don't really know who to trust, who to believe. And one of the things that I've always really liked about Anik is transparency. And, recently when the whole, he kind of got, I don't know, it's more than slap, pretty much punched in the face by the FTC. He decided to go public with his journey and, hoping that it was going to bring value to so many of us so that we don't have to go through a lot of the stuff that he's gone through. And so I'm going to let Anik tell you guys a little bit about what went down. And then we're going to go into some Q&A that I'm going to ask him a couple of questions, and I'm going to open the floor. If you have any questions for him specifically, put them in the chat. And then we're going to leave you guys today being a lot clearer on what you can and can't say in your marketing, because a lot of you guys are submitting things for me to look at every single week. And, I know a lot of you guys are like, you hate when I say this, but I'm like, this is not compliant. And you try to circumvent that system. And I think after today, a lot of you guys are going to have second thoughts before you try to circumvent any of the systems. And Anik, I'm super excited that you're here. And I literally, I will say this, guys, reading his book freaked me the fuck out. Like, I am not even joking. Like, I remember whenever he sent me a copy, it was even before he even released it, which was awesome. I was reading it and I literally messaged him back and I was like, oh my God, my heart is literally at the bottom of my stomach. And he's like, what do you mean? Is that a good thing? I was like, I am like, this is just so heart-wrenching, because in the book, you could literally feel the pain that he was in through this whole ordeal. But Anik, you want to kind of give them a little bit on what happened, and why are we on this call today?
Why are we here? Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for such a warm and an awesome introduction. Nice to hear good words, right? And to see that there's still trust and integrity on my brand, even though we went through this. And I'll say that government did its very best to tarnish that. But that's okay. No hard feelings. That's what they're supposed to do. They're not on my side on this case. But and it's funny, Laurel. I found out about you a few years ago because I had someone in my office who was talking about micro continuity. And my first statement to them was micro continuity is great if you have a big warm audience and if you do social media, but you can't afford to pay for ads with it. And they're like, aha, really? Let me show you Laurel. And so I was fascinated. I went through, I was like, what is the black magic here? Because there's no way. And then I started getting retargeted by you, and I was like, okay, this person is really good at what they do. And so kudos to you. So I became a quiet fan just watching and lurking what you were doing because it's so different. And so when you said that you don't like to follow a lot of marketers, I'm kind of grateful for it, Laurel, because the way you do things it's so different. It's so refreshing. And it's just not, you let some of the other marketers come in and they're going to be like, let's launch this, scale to the moon, and do all these crazy things that just aren't necessary. So, um, I want to start this talk by first addressing this, right? So sometimes someone posted I got a funny comment today on my Facebook just this morning because I posted a recent case. It just came out this morning and I just posted like a 2-paragraph summary about it, and it was pretty nasty. So here's what I'm noticing happening over the last few months. The FTC is getting harsher. And what's crazy is it's not monetarily, they're getting harsher about the things that really hurt, right? Bans, asset freezes. So this morning I wake up, and by the way, this is what I do now for fun. This is my shits and giggles in the morning when I wake up. My morning read is I look at the press releases. I look at the recent cases. I can tell you pretty much everything going on. I really truly enjoy this stuff. Many have joked with me and said you should go to law school. And so there's a case that comes out this morning about a company that sold, business opportunity type stuff, and there's a complete they have banned that entrepreneur from ever doing phone sales ever again in anything. Like he cannot run phone sales ever, right? And he can have nothing to do with make money type of opportunities or business, like in any way or form. He can't even work for one. And I was like, damn, right? Like that's pretty hardcore. I came out of it fairly unscathed in the sense of there are no permanent bans or anything like that on me. Um, and then I got another phone call this morning from someone that is getting all of their assets frozen tomorrow morning. I can't believe he even got a 1-day warning. I was shocked because they don't usually do that. But the complete freeze, complete, like, I mean, they're gonna have access to nothing. And the person was asking me, like, what am I gonna do? Like, can I buy groceries? And I'm like, well, your credit cards you can have, but you won't be able to pay them at the end of the month because everything will be frozen, all your assets, your properties, and this. So they weren't doing this as much a couple years ago when I got hit, and they're doing it now. It just shows they're getting more and more serious. They are not pulling back. They've lost some cases in the Supreme Court and at different federal judges, and a lot of marketers I see right now online saying like, yeah, we won, like, doubt. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is not how they behave. When they lose a case, they do not retreat. They have never. They come out stronger and they pivot. You got to remember, it's a bunch of very intelligent attorneys that work there, so they figure it out. So I'm really glad that you guys are here today. I'm not here to fearmonger whatsoever. I will always give it to you the way it is. Um, and uh, and I just want to correct a lot of misnomers and misunderstandings. So for example, right here in the comments, Angela, you said keep assets offshore. Doesn't help. It doesn't help. It's a common myth because as per the laws of the IRS, you have to report your offshore assets. Now, if you're going to hide assets and not report them, that's fine. The FTC may or may not find them. You'd be surprised how quickly they can find them. But the IRS very specifically says if you're a US citizen and you have offshore assets, you must report them, whether you have to pay taxes on them or not. Now, if the IRS knows about it, the FTC is going to know about it. So the common thinking people have is, well, the government can't access my trusts. They can't access my offshore money. They don't need to. As long as you can access it, that's enough for them. Because the way it works is they'll come to you and say, do you want to settle? Give us that money. Figure out how to get to it. Right? So the way I like to start is this. There are some myths out there that I want to address, and then I'll tell you a little bit about my story, and I'll tell you why I've made compliance and teaching compliance kind of my mission in my life now. This is what I do all day, literally morning till night, okay? Um, so one of the myths out there is I'm too small to get sued. The truth of it is that's not true. Um, the other myth is that the FTC is just some kind of money mongering system for the government. Actually, the FTC doesn't keep any of the money that they get. So my fine ended up being $2.5 million. 2.4 of it, just a couple months ago, was refunded to a bunch of my customers. So they keep $100,000 in the middle. I don't know what that was for, but basically most of it went right back. So they don't care because they don't keep the money. This isn't some kind of money-making opportunity for them. Now, all they care about is if you're following the rules. Now, I will tell you, because I've been in this industry for over 20 years, that the way it used to be, and even the lawyers would say this, and this is how I built my company, and this is what I knew to be true, is that as long as you are not creating complaints, and as long as the FTC is not hearing your name all the time, they're not going to come for you. So a lot of us would just say, rule schmools. I'm doing good. I'm taking care of my customers. I've got people like Laurel following me for 7 years who like me, who don't hear bad things about me. I've never hurt people. I've never been sued and never had an issue. I've had 150,000 customers worldwide, never received a single legal letter. All right. We've had a refund rate that is half of the industry average, a chargeback rate, half the industry average, never lost a merchant account, never had an issue with any legal type. So that was by design because I knew that to be a risk factor. So I built a company that could support that. But somewhere the last few years, I'm not an attorney. Nothing I say is legal advice. These are opinions. These are observations. But the last few years, what I've noticed is that the FTC has changed their mantra away from complaints to just the rules. The rules are the rules. So I asked this question to the FTC when my case started. And I was like, wait, I don't understand. I have no complaints. Listen, I'm doing 20,000 transactions a year. That's a lot. And I'm getting 20 BBB complaints a year. That's nothing. And my BBB complaints are 100% resolved. I have an A rating at the BBB. So why are we here? Why are you talking to me? And the exact feedback I got was complaints are irrelevant. I thought, what? They weren't for the last 20 years. That's what I thought was the main thing. Rules are the rules. You're breaking the rules. And how do you argue with that, right? That's like getting pulled over while you're driving. You're going 70 in a 50 zone. Cop pulls you over and you're like, come on, man. What's the big deal? There's no one else on the road. I didn't hurt anybody. There's no life when no one's life at risk. Cop looks at you and goes, speed limit is 50, regardless. You're going over the speed limit. Rules are the rules. That's kind of how they're enforcing now. So size doesn't matter. Rules are the rules. I can tell you many cases that my now partner in this whole compliance revolution, Greg, who is an attorney, he's been doing this for 20 years. I can tell you multiple cases. He's settled cases for as little as 15,000. He settled a case. This was kind of makes me laugh. It's also really sad. He settled a case that where the person had to sell their minivan. That was a settlement. They sold the minivan and paid the cash of the minivan back to the to the FTC. So I think now I will say if you're just getting started, right, and you haven't really done much in revenue, and so like yeah, you're right. Maybe you're not top priority. You could get dragged into someone else's case. So if you're promoting somebody or working with someone and they get sued, they do bring in other parties. But you also need to build the right habits from the beginning. I hear this a lot too, Laurel, where people say, well, I'm not really a big deal right now, so let me just do what I got to do. And then, once I start getting to bigger revenue numbers, I'll clean it up. It just doesn't work that way. Okay? This is exactly like saying, well, you know what? I'm just going to starve myself until I lose the 20 pounds. And then once I've lost 20 pounds, I'll just kind of go back to eating how I was. You'll put it right back. You can't do that because then everything you've done, your team, your systems, your contractors, your employees, your customers are used to seeing a certain type of marketing. At that time, if you rip the Band-Aid, it's a lot harder than to just have the right habits from day one. Just do it from the beginning. So my story, I always say this, many people may or may not know this about me. I don't know how many people here do know me or have any idea of my story, but I have a really severe case of a condition called Crohn's disease, and it's riddled my life since I was 13 years old. So we're coming on 30 years soon. And I've had multiple surgeries. And so one of the years, this is after college, and I promise you that this connects back. So just bear with me for the story for a minute. I was in the ICU for 92 days. I was losing 2 pints of blood a day. And I had to be flat. So they laid me flat. I had to be flat. If they so much as hosted my bed up, just put my bed up, my heart rate would spike to 180. So for 3 months, I did not move. I did not leave that bed. I was flat. And then I had to eventually have a surgery to which they told my parents point blank 50-50 chance if he wakes up. This is a really hardcore surgery. And we don't know if he's strong enough to survive it. So called the family and I met everybody and did the surgery. Of course, I woke up. It was the most painful recovery. I actually ended up moving into my parents' basement. They had to make a makeshift hospital. It took me 2 months of physical therapy to be able to walk back up the steps just to have enough strength. 6 months after that, back in the hospital, another surgery. 1 month after that, back in the hospital for another month in the ICU with another major surgery. It was a really rough year. Why do I tell you this? Because the 18 months I spent getting investigated by the regulators at the FTC was way harder. Way harder. Spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally, it was just, I always tell people that I lost everything, not because they forced me to lose it, but because I just the type of business I had. So first of all, I spent 20 years trying to build a business. Finally had unlocked everything. I got served the notice on May 20th of 2022. April 21st, my wife gave birth to our first daughter. So it's literally, I had just come back from paternity leave. I was selling the company in 6 weeks. It was all done. Everything was done. Like the due diligence was done, everything. My life dream was to sell the company before I turned 40. That was my 39th birthday coming up. So I was 3 weeks away from my 39th birthday, at which point I was going to announce my right hand as the CEO of the company, step down, and go be a dad for the next year while the company sold a few weeks later. It was all worked out. I had everything was perfect. All right. We had great investments. The company was great. I was about to sell it for tens of millions of dollars. One FedEx letter, gone. Everything was gone because the company I built, they didn't force me to stop anything, by the way. I will say this, the FTC is incredibly professional. So it wasn't anything I didn't get my offices raided, didn't come smack me around. There's a lot of dramatization about this too. They didn't take me to a dungeon somewhere and torture me. They're really super professional. So, but I ran a company that published other people. 80% of my revenue came from promoting other people. So like, for example, Laura, let me assume that I was publishing you for a minute. I'm running ads with your face, your name, your likeness. And I didn't have to tell you that I'm being investigated by the FTC, but that's not how I do business. There's a reason for 20 years I've kept such a great name. Of course I'm going to tell you. So I got served the notice on Friday, and I was going to tell everybody I'm publishing on Monday. I already knew what they would ask. The minute I told them that, what do they think they're going to ask? They're going to say, hey, you mind taking my stuff down? So that this doesn't bleed over to me. So Monday morning, I had no choice but to shut those funnels down, shut down 80% of our revenue, laid off 85 people a few days later. So within a week of having received the notice, I lost my whole company. And of course, the acquisition was gone on that moment. So, take this stuff seriously, do it right from the beginning because you have no idea how it impacts your life in the future. And it's really, really difficult stuff to go through. In the end, people say, Anik, why did they come after you? Well, I'll never know, to be honest with you. I'll never know the specific thing, what created what created. But look, I've been in the industry for 20 years. I'm definitely one of the, I would say one of the leaders in it. And hitting me was probably a good strategic decision as well, because it's created a lot of awareness. But we were doing about 40 million a year, so we were a pretty big company too. 20,000 plus transactions a year. Now, here's some really interesting stats. Like I said, BBB rating A, 0.7% chargeback rate, 5% refund rate. No complaints, never had a legal issue. Customer support response time of 36 minutes, 24 hours a day, holidays and weekends included. I had 3 support teams working three different shifts, 8 hours. I had a support team in the US, had a support team in Europe, and had a support team in Asia. So all time zones were covered. We treated support it was a huge cost center for me. And we had all the right stats. We had a great repeat customer base. We just didn't have complaints. We didn't have negative reviews. But in the end, what they did is watch some of my webinars, found enough statements there that bothered them, and sent me a 36-page, what they call a CID, civil investigative demand. And in that, I spent the next year digging up all the things that they wanted. I ended up turning over 600,000 documents to them. Calls, pages, emails, text chats, Slack chats, messages, social media posts, ads, everything. And that's something you have to do. You have to comply. You have to basically prosecute yourself, which is crazy. So we never really found out, but in the end, what they hung me on, what they got me on, we settled. So it wasn't, now so here's the other thing. The way they determine how much you owe them, money-wise, is they ask you the question, what you got? So this is why asset protection is vital in your life. But when you're dealing with the government, the asset protection has to be done very differently. It's much easier for the government to get to your stuff. I mean, there's asset protection to protect you from your neighbor, and then there's asset protection to, protect you from the big guys. But they take a big chunk of what is liquid, and for me, I've been pretty good with my money, so I knew that that was going to be a really, really, really hard bullet to swallow. I mean, the case that settled today did far worse things than we're accused of, and the person settled for $100,000 because they didn't have any money. Whereas I had to settle for $2.5 million because, well, they take a chunk of what you have. That's felt very mafia-ish to me. That was the one part I didn't like. It was like it wasn't the formula to getting to what I owe them didn't make sense to me. Especially when I couldn't find complaints and specifics and people that we really actually hurt and destroyed, right? In the end, what they did is they just took the money and they evenly split it amongst my top customers and just sent them a refund check, some of which those customers have since wanted to send the refund check back to me. They don't even want it. They're like, I don't want it. So they're sending money back to people who never complained, who never wanted it, who felt like they got a great service. It was a little bit weird. That part was a little strange to me. So we don't know exactly why, but I do, in that process, here's what happened. The 18 months that it took, about a few months in, I started to realize rules and started to really learn from Greg Christiansen, who's my co-author in this book. And I remember thinking, how is it that I have built a company for 20 years? I have a full-time paralegal who reviews my material. This is way before the FTC got involved. And I'm one of the OGs in the space, as people say. And I have invested over $1 million with an attorney. I had a firm. I had a compliance attorney at a firm. I put over $1 million in legal fees. How is it that I didn't know these rules? There's so many things hidden beneath the trenches that they were eventually getting me on that I just didn't even know about. So I started thinking, if I don't know about this, man, other people don't know about this. And so for me, writing this book was very cathartic. It was therapeutic. And so eventually I wrote it, and this is kind of like my redemption. It was like, hey, I'm going to tell my story while also teaching and turning my mess into my message, and never expected it to become what it's become today. It was really just supposed to be like, hey, I'm not hiding. Here's what happened to me. Here's what I learned. I hope it helps you. But now it's become my mission because I've learned it so well, and I've completely one thing I've learned is I can teach it differently than lawyers can. Lawyers can't help themselves. They lawyerify everything. And I give it with examples and I teach it as a marketer and I find solutions, right? So for every one thing you can't say, I find the right way to say or do it compliantly because I'm a marketer. So it's been a great partnership with Greg Christiansen. And somewhere along the way, I just became so obsessed in a good way with compliance. It's now become my passion and my mission to spread this message. And then the market has received it so warmly. Um, it's just kind of validated. At this point, I think we're close to 3,000 books sold, and we've got probably about 100 plus people in our academy. And then we also built the software that does all this for you. So, it's AI powered compliance software. I mean, literally can review your entire sales page, your videos, your audios, your sales calls, listen to every sales call. It can do it in minutes. So the same thing that would cost, thousands of dollars with attorneys and you'd wait weeks can now be done in minutes for next to nothing. And so, but it cost me so far I've invested about $700,000 building that software. So, this has become my thing now. So I still teach marketing and I love it and I'll always teach it. But I will tell you, my heart's now in this compliance world. And so I'm here to just share and talk about it, but that's the story. And I tell you the story so long-winded only because I really want this to settle in and I want you to, to really take this seriously. For those of you wondering, am I going to sell you stuff today? I don't think this is that kind of webinar. I have a pitch deck. I can go through it, but there's 3 things that you can buy today. Ready? So let's just practice some severe transparency. Number 1 is you got to get the book. I don't see any reason why you don't get the book. You can get it for as little as $7, online version. It's a really fun read. Yeah, I know. I trust me. It's an easy read. It might be a little hard to digest, as Laurel said, because you learn a lot of stuff. But I think Laurel will agree. There's examples. It's not legalese. It's written by me, a copywriter, so you'll get through it. To get the book, okay, and get some of the upsells too. Just it supports the cause. Trust me. People are like, "Oh, you're gonna make millions from this." I'm like, my bank account hasn't seen it yet, but I hope so. The second thing that we'll talk about later today is a compliant marketing academy. So there's a lot of documents, contracts, disclosures, disclaimers, and things, and legalese, and access to an attorney, and all these things that you need that are very expensive. So we've done all of this and put it in one place, and we'll give you, for those of you that want to join us, a very good price to it. It's completely affordable, and it's kind of our next big focus right now. You get a lot of access to me, to the attorney when you're in there. So we'll tell you about that. And the third thing is the software. So, we'll give you the ability to go play with the software and to get a membership to it if you want. That's it. So transparently, that's what's going on. Angela says, please drop the link to the academy. Thank you, Angela, for your support. You're awesome. So the Laurel, the link to the academy is just compliantacademy.com/Laurel. So anyone who
Okay.
wants to go
I knew
check
it was
out
an
that
upsell.
page.
I knew it was an upsell, I think, in the book. So if they buy the book, don't they get an offer for
Later, much further down the track.
wow.
So sometimes people are like, hey, I just want to get into the academy directly because it's that cool. Khan says, what does the software do? Khan, we'll do a demo later. No problem. I was just being transparent. I was just saying, guys, this is what we'll be pitching you. I'm not going to be jamming it down your throat. We're not going to put a 10-minute countdown timer on and say 20 seats left. Like, it's just, we're here to have fun and learn about compliance. So Laura, anyway, sorry for taking so long. I just wanted to kind of give the full story and
No,
I'll pass it back to you.
that is perfect. And and the reason that, I was dropping the links as you were talking, and I was saying, hey, FYI, this is an affiliate link because can't you get in trouble if you don't disclose that something is an affiliate link also?
Yes, it's a requirement. So if you have a blog article or something, or even a social media post, or an email, it's absolutely required that somewhere on that, you don't have to be like, here's my link. By the way, it's an affiliate link. I get paid. It's like, you got to put that's part of the disclosures and disclaimers, right? So we give you written ones written by an attorney. Um, they'll cost you money elsewise. And then if you join Compliant Academy, it's free. We give you 33 plus of these types of things. But yeah, it's required. So if you have an email that is eventually giving you money, if you're giving a recommendation, so the FTC just recently issued some statements about this. This is like 3 weeks ago. They call your review. So they're going after review sites, endorsement review sites. And so here's what they do. They go as far as to say, if you are doing a review on a page for a company and using an affiliate link and not disclosing that it's an affiliate link and that you're getting paid, they consider your review a fake review.
Mm.
And there are some serious ramifications for fake reviews and fake, because it's kind of like a fake testimonial. And they really are up in roars about it right now. Most cases are being initiated because of testimonials. I'll share mine, and that was the door. That was the back door they took to get into my company, was the fact that we use results-based testimonials, and they decided to announce some new rules around that, which we didn't know about yet. And so absolutely disclosing the fact that you're getting compensated for something that you're recommending to others is important.
I know right after one of the first things I did, as soon as I read the book that you sent me, I literally stopped all of my ads that had any type of testimonials, because I just didn't even want to take any chances at all. And so one of the questions that I have, because I've been hearing two different things about the FTC coming after businesses that are B2C versus B2B. Is there a difference between, are we okay if we're a B2B business, or is it just, are they just coming after the people who are running B2C type businesses?
Yeah, great question. So traditionally speaking, if we go back and you look at the Federal Trade Commission, you look at any regulator, okay, in the SEC world, so in the investment world, they've actually gone out of their way to create a class of investors called accredited. So you have accredited and you have unaccredited. So a lot of times people get in an uproar about that, but if you actually think about it, it makes a lot of sense. So an accredited investor, right? The reason they say, hey, the more riskier investments and things can be given to accredited investors is based on the government. They say, hey, if you're an accredited investor, you have enough money and knowledge and experience and understanding, all right, to be able to make that evaluation about your decision. Now, if you're an unaccredited investor, you may not have the knowledge, you may not have the education, you may not have the experience, and you certainly don't have the money. So you might end up making a huge investment where you take a big chunk of your money, put it in, and now you're at risk. So what all the regulation bodies show repeatedly is that they are in the market to protect the vulnerable. They are there to protect those who are most likely to get hurt. And the easiest way to piss off, excuse my language, the FTC or the other regulators is to actually create programs and products that you sell that target, veterans, elderly, people that might be otherwise have disabilities. Oh man, because they're vulnerable. So coming back to your question, B2C is typically what you see more of because they consider the average consumer to be a lot more vulnerable than a business owner who's probably much more capable of making appropriate decisions. So a couple of years ago, when my case first started, there was a lot of buzz around, hey, switch to B2B because the FTC does not regulate B2B. And now somehow I feel they heard this, and they heard that this was the buzz amongst the markets. About a year ago, a little less than a year ago, they issued a whole press release specifically stating, hey, B2B counts. We are also interested in B2B. And I cannot reveal the name because I don't have confirmation, but I've heard enough from behind the scenes that one of the people that I had personally gone to and given a lot of warnings to and said, hey, listen, yeah, man, you're big enough and you're loud enough and you're doing all the things that they love. And this particular person told me, I'm good, man, I'm B2B. And I said, well, I don't know. The attorney said that, and so a few months after that conversation, I see the press release come out about B2B. Now, here's the thing you have to know about the FTC, and I would think any regulatory body. They don't say things just to say things. You can get a really good gauge of where they're about to go the next month or two by reading what new rules or new warnings they're announcing. So the minute they announce this, hey, we can also come after B2B, I was like, oh God, there's going to be B2B cases opening up. I just know it. That's why they announced it. And sure enough, a few weeks later, I heard that that very person, not client, it wasn't a client of mine, but the very person I had warned, who had told me I'm fine on B2B, but what I heard is that they are currently now under investigation. And that was a few weeks after the FTC announced that they can go after B2B. So I will say that, yes, there's like a 9-to-1 ratio of B2C cases to B2B. I mean, you see a lot more B2C, but it seems like the FTC is spreading their wings based off of what they said themselves, and that B2B still counts for them.
So I have a really good question because one of my students, Rose, she has a membership for songwriting. And so she just asked the question in the chat, should we stop the testimonial carousel? Um, so can you maybe talk a little bit about testimonials that get people in trouble versus testimonials that are super compliant? Because not just because it's a testimonial, people are getting caught, it's because what people are saying in those testimonials.
Yeah. Yeah. So absolutely. This is one of the hottest topics. It's such a hot topic. I'm actually creating an entire program around it right now. I was writing the sales page to it last night called the compliant testimonial system. So here's a little irony. Laurel, you're going to laugh at this. I'm using testimonials far more now than I ever did past. And it's like, really, Anik? Yeah. And guess what? The FTC says they have been announcing press release after press release since October of 2021. They've been repeatedly saying testimonials are where we are focused. We are coming for you if you are using testimonials and endorsements incorrectly. The SEC just fined 9 different companies on September 9th. This is just what, a week ago? About a collective 1 point some million dollars for violations on marketing focused around testimonials. And so it was really funny. I was like, wait, what are they doing in FTC territory? But apparently they want a piece of the action too. And even the SEC came out and said, testimonials piss us off. Like, so now you're wondering, Anik, why the hell would you, with all of this going on, right? Why would you say that you use testimonials more now than you ever did before? Well, because I'm doing it right. And when I do it right, I'm not worried about it. And I'm actually seeing it have a much better impact on my business, quality of customer conversions than I ever did before using it the other way. All right, so let's talk about this. There's 2 types of testimonials as far as I'm concerned. One is ridiculously unsafe and one is ridiculously safe. There is no middle ground. There's the results-based testimonials, and then there is the general testimonials, okay? Results-based testimonials is what the FTC and the SEC are saying they are now sick of and they are coming after because there are 4 rules. Now, can you not use them at all? No, that's not true. You can use results-based testimonials, but you have to match the criteria, 4-part criteria. You have to. Number 1, not that hard, but number 1 is you have to have a signed affidavit from the person attesting to their results, but also giving you permission to use them. So let's say Laurel's out there and says, gosh, Anik's, training has helped me make $1 million. I'm like, shoot, man, I love that. Laurel, I got to promote that to everyone, right? Heck, I want to have a video of Laurel saying that and run the video on Facebook as ads because she's an influencer. She is a brand. People recognize her, carries a lot of authority. And if she says I helped her make $1 million, oh yeah, I'm gonna, that's awesome. And Laurel said it. So first and foremost, I have to go to Laurel and say, Laurel, I need you to sign this release that allows me to use your face and likeness in marketing so you don't sue me later. Number 2 is part of the release is an affidavit just confirming that you attest to these results. Okay, no big deal, right? Fine. It's a little bit of a pain, but all right, Anik, we can do that. All right, now it gets fun. Number two, substantiation. Well, I don't understand. Why do I have to substantiate something Laurel said? She just signed an affidavit. She told me it's her words. It's her problem. That's true. So let's say I have a Facebook group and Laurel goes into the Facebook group and posted this on her own volition with no request from me and no encouragement for me to do so. Those are her words. I can't control them. They're in a public outlet, public space. So can I just take a screenshot of that and post it in my webinar? No, because Laurel did not give me permission. I have to get precise permission from her to be able to take a screenshot of that and use it in my webinar. But now here's where, so as long as she has posted it and it's her post in my group, I don't have to chase her down and be like, prove it. Show me the $1 million you've made. But here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. You ready? I take a screenshot of it and I post it in my presentation. Even if she's given me permission, even if she signed the affidavit, guess what just happened? It is no longer her claim, or it is no longer only her claim. It is now my claim as well. It's in my presentation. I am making the claim that Laurel's made $1 million based off of what I taught her. So what I have to do, part 2, rule 2 of the 4 rules, I have to go to Laurel and say, can you please provide me proof, Laurel? I would like substantiation that this actually happened. And so that's a little uncomfortable. Laurel will be like, well, how do I do it? I'm like, oh, I need you to take screenshots of your business, your revenue. I need to see before, after. I need a little bit of a write-up about what exactly I taught you and how that impacted you. I need proof, not just a screenshot, but like I need avid proof enough that I could stand in court and say, Your Honor, I said this because here's the proof I got. And the judge would say, oh yeah, this is pretty, concrete evidence that she and he did not lie. Okay. So substantiation in and of itself can get kind of problematic, but it's not that troublesome for coaches and client consultants because they don't have a lot, right? For course sellers, it's like virtually impossible. Like if I'm selling to 2,000 people, but if I'm working with you as a client and I have 10 clients and you get a huge result out of something I taught you, it's not hard for me because I'm in there. I can be like, hey, can I take a screenshot of this? Like, can I prove it myself? Like, okay, fine. Let's move on. Number 3. So let's say you got the first 2. Anik, yay, can I use these? Nope. Number 3, typicality. Most results-based testimonials fall apart right here. Typicality. So, does the typical customer I work with who completes my program get $1 million like Laurel did? Is that the average result of the people that complete my program? I say, no. Then how can you use her example? That's what they say. You can only use results-based examples that are typical for someone, that they could reasonably expect, and that you have reasonable evidence and typicality studies established to be able to use them. This is the one that everyone falls apart at, including myself. Number 4, not as big of a deal. You have to have the appropriate disclosures and disclaimers, like I said, which we give away in the Compliance Academy. You have to have appropriate disclosures and disclaimers every time you use testimonials, not just at the beginning of the presentation or at the bottom of the page, but if you've got a bunch of different times where you have blocks of testimonials, it has to be there after every block. It's called proximate disclosures. It has to be proximate to when things are said. So Nina says, Nina, this is a typical misunderstanding. She says, results not typical added at the end doesn't help you. Nope, that went away. So they, in basically 2021, the FTC said, we're done with this because the marketers, you guys are abusing this. Initially, it was fine to say results not typical and make a fuss of it, but then they just came out and said, nope, we don't want any testimonials being used that are not typical, period. So there are ways to establish typicality. We just did a podcast that we just released last week on our podcast that talks about how to establish typicality. It's not easy. I'm warning you. If you're a course seller, it's not easy. If you're a coach or consultant, it's not that hard. And then, so if you have all the 4 rules met, you got the signed release, you got substantiation, you got a typicality study there, and you got your proximate disclosure, go ahead, use results-based testimonials all you want. Okay. But I don't want to deal with all that. As a course seller, I don't want to have to deal with all that. And now with the added eyes on my business. So I had to digest the fact that, like, could general testimonials still do the trick? And of course, 20 years of doing things a certain way, I was like, no. I'm like, damn it, marketing is dead. I should go buy some Subway franchises and just call it, right? So what did I do? I started doing what we call character and experience-based testimonials. So instead of asking Laurel to send me a testimonial with her results, Laurel says, worked with Anik for 4 months. I got to tell you, it's the best decision I've ever made of all the people I've ever worked with. He was absolutely amazing and delivered exactly on time. I saw amazing growth. I'm so happy, and I would highly recommend working with Anik any day. I want to work with him again. And if you're thinking about it, stop what you're doing and just work with him right now. Something like that. Experience, character, but no specific results. Now, here's what that does. Number 1, I still need her to sign something that allows me to use her face and likeness in marketing, but it doesn't have to be a affidavit anymore. There's nothing to affidavit. Number 2, don't need substantiation. Number 3, don't need a typicality study. Number 4, just need to put approximate disclosure next to it. So all of a sudden, it got super easy for me to be able to use this. But I wasn't convinced that this would work as well. And guess what? It works amazing. Super well. Let me explain to you why. So this concept, you guys, is going to blow your mind, and you're going to remember this for a long time. We don't learn in marketing enough. We just talk about conversion, right? Conversion numbers. What's your opt-in rate? What's your conversion number? This, that. But we never ask the question of who are you converting, right? Are all customers the same? And so I want everyone to just always remember my arm being held up vertically like this. And what I always say is up market, down market. And I'm not saying down market in a derogatory way at all. It's just up market, down market. Okay, let me explain to you what. You guys are here today, okay? You are customers of Laurel. So you've been through like multiple validation points because in micro commitments, and then you opted in for a training on FTC compliance. By far not the sexiest topic on the planet. And you didn't just opt in for it, then you showed up. You're here. So you, every step, have gone up market. You are an up market customer. Okay. I bet you right now, just ask yourself why you follow the Laurel. If I started saying, today, guys, I'm going to show you how you can make $22,000 by tomorrow by following my simple 4-step system that you don't have to have any experience on, you don't have to think about. Heck, you can sit on a toilet, and while you're taking a crap, you'll make money. I bet you every single person that's in this room right now would be like, Laurel, what the hell are you smoking? Why did you put this person in front of us? And we are out of here. That is the difference between up market and down market. I don't want the customer that type of marketing attracts. Angela says you definitely sell that, right? I don't want the type of customer that attracts the down market. That attracts the people that are desperate. That attracts the people that perhaps just don't have enough of the education in that space to make a valid decision. That attracts the people that don't know how they're going to pay their mortgage in 2 weeks. All right, that attracts the type of people that aren't going to have the time, the energy, the resources to actually implement what I teach them. That attracts the exact type of people that the FTC and other regulators say are vulnerable. That attracts the exact type of people that are going to be a nightmare for your customer support team. That attracts the exact type of people that are going to do refunds and chargebacks. So you're literally creating a product. Yeah, you might convert high. So when people ask me, Anik, does compliant marketing just drop conversions? My answer is always this: yes and no. And they go, what the hell? Which one is it? I say, well, let's go back to the up market, down market. For these people down here, it drops conversions. Hallelujah. Thank God. But you know what it does do? The up market, when I stop doing all that hypey crap and I replace it with genuineness and just true training and just authenticity, the up market, they buy. So notice how I'm here today. Started the presentation, I said there's 3 things to sell. Guys, no one's offended by being sold. No one's offended at the idea that you're selling them something. People love buying stuff. People don't mind it. I told you I've got these 3 things. I'm not going to pitch them down your throat. I'm here to teach, to serve, to guide. You're going to make an active decision if it's right for you or not. Upmarket loves that. And maybe some of you won't buy today, but you'll buy in 3 weeks. You'll buy in 3 months. It's okay. I plan to leave at least until I'm 80 or 90. I got time. We got 40, 50 years here. I'll get some money out of you. No worries. Right? But when you start to change how you think about marketing and direct marketing, and you change that timeline, you start to notice that this type of marketing is far better. So compliant marketing and these testimonials, what I notice is when you get away from those super hypey results-based testimonials, you start to attract the upmarket. Now, here's the benefits of the upmarket. They're more likely to do what you teach. They're more likely to actually get results from what you teach. They're not going to bother your customer support. As long as you deliver, they almost never refund or do chargebacks. And my favorite one, they actually have resources and money to buy your upsells. They stick around longer. So the LTV on those customers is way better. You know, the reason most info marketers can't grow or scale their business is because they don't stack customers. This was a big mind-blowing moment I had a year ago where I was like, why was it so hard for me to get my business up to 40 million? It took a lot of energy and strength and wreaked havoc on my body physically because I wasn't stacking customers. My customers were churning. Not every year to grow, not only did I have to replace the customers from the year before, I had to stack more customers, and then I had to replace all of those and get even more. Versus a great business, you retain most of your customers from last year, and the next year just add on top, and that's why scale becomes so much easier. So when you use compliant marketing, compliant testimonials, you're just attracting a better person. So what I noticed is my conversions are actually better today. I mean this, I'm not making it up. I got proof of it. My conversions are better today than they've ever been in the past. And the types of customers I'm bringing in now, it's untouchable. I jokingly say this all the time. If my lawyer called me right now and said, Anik, the FTC has forgotten about you. I waved a magic wand. It's gone. It never happened. There's not a single notice of this online. No Google. Men in Black came, zapped the whole world. Nobody remembers that you guys do by the FTC. Go do whatever you want. You don't have to be compliant anymore. You know, I'd literally look at them and say, nah, I'm good. I'm going to continue to do it this way because I'm actually happier, way happier with the kind of customers I'm getting. So character and experience-based testimonials. The second thing I call it, I have a slide on this. I just had a brain fart what I call it. So on all of my sales pages now, I like to do something fun. Okay. So I had a offer that's done really well that's coming back. It's called 5 for 5, 5 courses for $5. So when my customers buy, I ask them to send a picture, a selfie picture of them holding up a 5 sign. So throughout the whole page, you have a sea of images of happy, smiling people with the 5 sign up. So it's building massive social proof. There isn't even words attached to it, and it increased conversions. I have an offer where I teach people how to do webinar marketing. So I told them to give me a W gang sign, or I said, oh, you can do a gang sign, send it back to me. So I'm going to have I have a bunch of people with the W holding up. I'm releasing a course soon on compliant testimonial system. So for that one, what I'm going to do is have a bunch of people send me back them holding up like a C. Right. So what I'm doing is creating this overwhelming social proof of just smiling, happy people. And what in the end, what testimonials really do is just give people some comfort in knowing that there are other people who've experienced this and are happy. That's it. So I know it's going to be a tough thing to digest because we're so used to doing it and seeing it a certain way, but I'm here to tell you that results-based testimonials is the #1 way that the FTC is currently opening doors and getting inside. And they're not being quiet about it. They have been incredibly public about it. It's up to us to now pay attention to it or not.
So is it only when it comes to financial gains, or would it be anything like that's results based, like health? There's some performance coaches here that, promise, hey, it'll save you, 10 hours a week. What would you say are the ones that they're looking at the most, or is it just results based in general?
Sure. So there's 4 types of claims. Let's go over them real quick because this is a great question. To answer the TLDR, it's all claims, all results count, but the income ones are the ones that they hate the most by far, like 10-to-1 ratio. But that doesn't mean you can go off and do the other ones by their books as well. So 4 types of claims. #1 is called an express earnings claim. This is this is just easy to spot. And not a lot of people do this except for the true people that just like are screwing around. This is when you say, I'm going to show you how to make $22,000 a day with almost no work. So this is when you make a very specific claim about a result someone else will achieve. Okay. Now, it's an express earnings claim. It has to be an earnings claim, though. So this is typically money only. Okay. It can happen in the financial space, trading space, make money space. #2 is called an implied earnings claim. This was the one that got me. Okay. So this was one of the main ones that got me. And I had never even heard the term implied earnings claim. Okay. So an implied earnings claim is, Laurel, is, let's say we're just sitting on this webinar and I'm like, guys, Laurel here has made this much money. Isaac has made this much money. Angela has made this much money. Khan's made this much money. Chris has made this much money. David has made this much money. Let's talk about what's going on. And now, here's the thing. I never said anything. I never said how much money you're going to make. I never said that you're going to make any money. But didn't I create the aura, the implication by just constantly? So implied is like a bit of an open Pandora's box, but it's when you imply a certain claim. And so why did the FTC create this? Well, because marketers like to be lawyers. So marketers will say, I never said you will make $10,000 a month. I said you could. I said it's possible. And they're like, you know what, man, the average consumer doesn't hear all of your superlatives. They just hear that they will. And so implied earnings claims are just as bad as express. But again, implied earnings claim. So it typically has to do with money in some form, okay? Whether it's return, percentage return, or money, though. It's money related. Okay, this is where it gets a little dicey. #3, performance claim. And so if you ask me, Anik, like, what is the ratio? I'm making this up. I have no data on this to back it up, but it's probably like 7-to-1. As far as like, I see for every 7, cases I see that are focused on earnings, I see like 1 that's focused on performance. But this is the one that would hit like the weight loss and health space. Don't even go near the idea of saying something will cure something or that there's an illness. Like that's why supplement companies get hit all the time. But that's a performance claim. So lose weight, shave this many hours, get twice as efficient, twice as productive. Those are performance claims. And the 4th one, which they really don't like, and they're the most sarcastic about these. When I read the complaint letters, I always laugh when I see these because they just, it's like they have their own fun writing it. Lifestyle claims. So here's the thing. No testimonials, no talking about money, but I'm here. Okay, I got a gold chain around me. I got 2 girls in bikinis next to me. I got a Lambo on this side, a Ferrari on this side, a helicopter behind me, a mansion behind me. And while I'm talking to you, I'm just shooting a money gun straight up in the air. but I never say you're going to make any money. I'm just like, hey, everybody, I'm here to teach you how to become an entrepreneur today so you can live a life like me, hopefully one day. Let's talk. That's called a lifestyle claim. Now, I'm being, of course, very exaggeration. I'm exaggerating for effect, but they hate the Lambros. You make those videos with your rented Lambos and your mansions and your private jets. And I actually love that part. I'm like, I hate them too. It's so stupid. I've never that thankfully never came up in my case because I've never done it. I own nice cars. I do nice things in my life. I've never used them in a picture, or in an ad. I just don't like it. It felt so tacky to me. So, but those are the four types of claims. Performance claims do fall under that. And again, I'm not an attorney, but if an attorney was telling you, they'd say all four are completely horrible and you should never do them because that's what they have to say. I'm not an attorney, so I'm just going to say that there are all four not allowed to be done. But it is very clear by just looking at the cases that the FTC is way more focused on the income ones than other things.
Oh, so we have a lot of questions, I guess, around, people wanting to know, like, for instance, so I know for me personally, when you said performance, that would include getting a certain return on ad spend, correct?
Yeah. Well, that would be return on ad spend would be considered earnings.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yep.
See? See,
That
guys,
would
it's
be
like it's
considered
like one of
earnings.
those things where, like, after reading his book, like, that's why I've slowed my role on creating, too many ads right now, because there's a lot of things that we're doing that we don't even know. And so that's why,
Yeah.
I'll drop the links to his stuff. I will say this, you will see me in all three of these offers, because especially the software, and I know Anik's going to talk about that here in a little bit, but if you just, like, kind of think about the cost of getting involved in this versus getting involved with the FTC, it's like very minuscule. And it's like, it's not a risk that, I'm definitely not taking that. But so what are some of the other things on it? Because I'm super happy that you're here, and I want to take advantage of you as much as possible for my own selfish reasons. But I will give your podcast a plug. Him and Greg do have a podcast that's actually called Don't Say That as well. I've been listening to it religiously. You could watch it on YouTube or you can listen to it on iTunes. So many just helpful information, because I know a lot of you guys deal with contractors. And I know of so many businesses who are like, oh, well, I have contractors instead of employees. Do you mind, just kind of going over that just a little bit? Because I do know that there are people right now that are in that phase of their business, and
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of people hiring contractors when they're really employees.
Yep. So, so a few things. I see a good question here I want to address that Jody just asked. So what about international companies, international people? Does the FTC have reign over them? So the rule is this: if you sell within the country, if you sell within the United States, if you have customers and your marketing goes and touches US customers, then the FTC has domain, right? Because the FTC regulates what happens to consumers in America. However, if you're not an American, so if you're an American citizen, you could live on Mars for all I care. They have jurisdiction over you if you're an American citizen. Now, maybe you're not an American citizen. You're a Canadian citizen living in Canada with a Canadian company, but you're marketing to America. Many cases where the FTC crosses borders and partners with the local agency there to come for you. They do have to partner with the local agencies, though. They can't, well, that's not true. So I know of a case, particularly where the FTC was going after someone who was in Germany, and I guess they didn't get the support from the German government at that time. So what they did was said, you owe us X amount of money, settle out, or we're going to put a arrest on arrival, because we're going to pass this penalty against you, and then you're not going to pay it. And if you don't pay it, that becomes a criminal offense because you didn't listen to the courts. So you'll never be able to come to the United States again. So it's like, okay, you don't have to pay this. You don't have to do it. You just can never come to the US again. The guy was like, he's funny. I know this person, and he loves coming to the music. There's a particular music festival in Florida that he loves coming to every year. It's like his biggest thing. And he was like, no, don't take away my music festival. And he paid a $500,000 fine just so he could always come to the music festival for the rest of his life. But more than, I mean, we have seen Canada, we have seen Australia, we have seen other countries. Usually you have to be doing bigger numbers because it is a pain for them to apply their resources. But if you're either you have to be doing some really harsh damages or you have to be doing bigger numbers from historical trend. Now, again, what does the law say? The law says doesn't matter, size doesn't matter. But typically I've noticed that so I've seen those international companies go down. For the contractor basis, I want to also address how much risk does someone have if they're an affiliate of a company. Um, I've seen affiliates go down a lot. As a matter of fact, in my case, two of our experts who weren't affiliates, but they were experts we were publishing, they got dragged into it. They didn't have to pay a fine, but they had to sign on. So they're named in the case. So almost always the FTC will come in and loves to kind of spread their wings. So last year they did 400 some cases, almost 500 cases, but 2,000 individual investigations. So that's like almost 5 investigations per case or 4. So they like to kind of spread their wings a little bit on that. If you are earning, even as an employee or a contractor, if you're earning percentage of basis, you will be considered a partner, so you can be also brought in. What if you're a contractor that just gets paid like $2,000-$3,000 a month to do something, or a social media agency? I haven't really seen that. Again, the legal explanation to it says anybody involved in the commercial act that is not compliant is liable. So by the law, you would be. But I have seen copywriters, I have seen media buyers get sued, but almost always those guys were earning on a percentage basis. So they had a performance-based reason, right? So they were making more money. So it's like you have an incentive to be more violation happy. To answer your question, yes. So there's a lot of laws coming around this concept of, hey, I don't have any employees. I just have contractors. So the rule is this. If the person who's your contractor is A, using your equipment, and is B, mostly only working with you, meaning you have a contractor that's doing 35 hours a week, working off of a computer you provided them, and in your Slack chats and on your team meetings and on your executive calls, and they're an employee. And so you're going to get hit and fined a lot for that. That's getting very active. They've been kind of sending some warning shots. States have started passing hard regulation. Florida, of all, actually came out with pretty hard regulations on this. If I do contractors, I'm pretty strict now. So it's either international, like so it's someone outside the US, which is easy to say they're a contractor, or it's a true contractor. Like I just signed on someone today on a $3,000 a month contractor, and like they clearly have a ton of other clients, right? So it's like, and they're working on their own systems, their own everything. So there's no arguments to be had about their status. Now, Laurel, going back to your original question where you said, hey, what are some other things that people are, getting in trouble for? So what we did is in this book, we created something called the Pentagon of Compliance. Okay. So it's literally a pentagon. And it's 5 main things that we are repeatedly seeing in cases. These are not the only 5 that get you in trouble. The book goes over like all of them, but these are the main 5. If you want to reduce your risk by like 85%, 90%, and these are the 5 that are going to do it. So the number 1 is misrepresentations. Okay, so misrepresentations are the little white lies that are, that people like to tell. 15 spots left. When no, they're not. Just like 40. This book is worth $3,000. Says who? Right? My PDF that I created using ChatGPT is worth, $2,900. The hell did you get that from? Those are misrepresentations. And that's the professional way of saying, like, that's instead of the FTC saying, you're a liar, they say it's misrepresentation, right? Hey, welcome to this webinar. We're all here live. I can't wait to, talk to you and Chris and Janet and da-da-da. And it's obviously an evergreen webinar, but you're making a strong claim to it being live. These are misrepresentations. This is first leg of the Pentagon, okay? So if you're out there, these are easy to get rid of. By the way, they don't impact your conversions. All right, so get rid of them. Stop lying. So when I do webinars sometimes and I'm going to do a hard sell, I still do it. I like selling. I'm a salesman. I'll do the top 40, 50, first 40, 50 people get XYZ. But we have documented evidence These were the 40 that we gave it to. The 41st customer was this person. They did not get it. Here is the Excel file of the people that did get it. Here's proof of the email that went to them saying that you got it. Like, we are very good about making sure we prove that. Okay, number 2, net impression. We didn't get a chance to talk about this yet, but net impression is the biggest concept that answers pretty much every question that you could have about compliance. So what they say with net impression is, what would the common person on the street, if they saw your marketing, what would they say? If I hit play on this video and then stop and said to the person, hey, what do you think? What would they say? That's a net impression. So this is why when you say, well, I never said they would make any money, but then you had the testimonial, the net impression created was. You are responsible for the net impression that is created on your customer. So if the net impression you're creating violates any of the rules, you're responsible, right? And so actually in Complyly, in our software, one of the features we are launching in the next coming weeks is actually going to have a net impression. So not only will we run the copy through all the rules, tell you all the violations and warnings, give you a score so you know how good you did, but we'll also give you a box that you can read that'll be 4 to 5, 6 sentences that tells you, here's the net impression of the software or of your copy. All right, number 3 is claims. We already talked about that. 4 types of claims: express, implied, uh, performance, and lifestyle, right? We talked about that. Number 4, substantiation. Kind of goes with number 3. Here, it's a really interesting way that the regulators look at this. By the way, one thing we didn't get into, Laurel, is we keep saying FTC, 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 but I want everyone to understand that there's 4 ways you can get sued for your marketing. There's a federal regulators, of which the FTC is one, then the SEC and a couple of other departments. There's states, 50 state attorneys general that can come for you. All right. As long as you sell in that state, they have a domain. We don't hear about these. They're not as public, but they're pretty active. And some states versus others. Utah, very active. California, very active. New York, very active. All right. Number 3, class action. It's picking up a lot. Class action lawsuits are, in my opinion, just sharky law firms that pay for they'll pay for the whole thing, and they'll corral together 300 customers who didn't even know they're angry and come after you, right? Typically, for class action, you got to be a bigger business typically. Number 4 is a consumer lawsuit. Seeing an uprising in this too. Consumers can come after you and say, you misled me, now pay me. So 4 ways, and Greg always laughs and says, who would you rather have rip off your arm and beat you to death? A 5,000-pound gorilla, 4,000-pound gorilla, 3,000-pound gorilla, or a 2,000-pound gorilla? And the answer to that question is neither. They all hurt the same. And he's like, exactly. Right? So substantiation, the regulators say, when you say something and make a claim, you're supposed to already have substantiation behind that claim. This isn't something to be found later when they come around looking. So I'll give you an example of something that came up in my case, and this will tell you how specific they can get. So you have to understand a concept called absolute statements. Absolute statements are definitive statements. Okay, so we are the #1 ad buying community in the world. That's an absolute statement. Okay, now you can just soften and say, we are one of the best ad buying communities in the world. And all of a sudden, you removed any need for substantiation of, there's no claim there, right? 9 out of 10 doctors recommend this supplement. Well, can you back that up? What's the study? Did you just call 10 of your uncles and aunts and convince 9 of them to endorse you? Like, that's not going to do the trick. Like, what's the actual study that led to that? So an absolute statement. So let me give you an example of where they caught me by the tail and would not let go. Okay, would not let go. I was using this for a little too long, but I was really proud of it. So in one of my credentials, I would talk about how I was top 3 entrepreneurs under 25 as rated by Businessweek. And that's true. Absolutely true. Business Week got bought out by Bloomberg. Bloomberg went in and hit the nuke button and blew the whole thing up. So the entire website, all of the web is gone. Okay. And I was still using that when I was like 35, 36 in my webinars, or 37. I honestly had already gotten rid of it because I felt kind of stupid at that point. I'm like, okay, this is like from when I was 25 years old. I need to stop using this credential. But they caught on to it from one of my old replays that they found. So they come along and they're like, we can't find this anywhere. Prove it. And I'm like, fine. Google, shoot, the page is down. Huh. Try to look for the old magazine. I didn't have it. And I couldn't find it on eBay. I'm looking everywhere. And my lawyer is like, oh man, can you find this? Like this is a very specific claim about your credibility you're making. They're not believing us. So thank God I found an email I had sent to my father because I was so excited and proud of what I had achieved. In that there was a link. The link was dead, but I went to Wayback Machine, popped it in, and I was able to find a copy of the page. And you know what? Once I sent that to them, that issue was done. They like put that to rest. But that goes to show you your own credentials, things you're saying about yourself, your business, your customers. I mean, these things all have to be substantiated. So inside of Complyly, what's going to happen, this feature is launching in 2 weeks. Every time we catch you saying something that's an absolute statement, there's going to be a button showing up next to it that says substantiate this. You'll be able to upload your substantiation right into that. And so we at Complyly will hold on to it for you and keep it. God forbid you ever need it. And we'll study it. So the next time you upload any copy or videos that references that same thing, we won't ask it again. We'll just tie it together and say, okay, we already have substantiation for this. So that was number 4. I'm telling you right now, I never used to actively do substantiation and have things on deck. And I know for a fact that most marketers don't. Okay. And the last but not least, the 5th leg of the Pentagon of compliance. And then after that, I do have a question to ask everybody, Laurel. The 5th leg of the is testimonials. And we spend an ample amount of time talking about testimonials. Very, very, very important. It's the number 1 door they're using right now. So misrepresentation, net impression, that's number 2. Claims, the 4 types of claims, number 3. Substantiation and the need for that, number 4, and what qualifies as substantiation, and number 5, testimonials. These are the 5 key areas that if you put heavy emphasis on, you will make your stuff, you will remove 80 to 85% of the risk. And then you can come in and add a lot more protection by using the appropriate disclosures, disclaimers, contracts, legal documents. We have 33 plus inside of Compliant Academy that you get the full license rights to use. And I'm not making this up when I say you're going to spend thousands with an attorney drafting those. I mean, you just will. There's really no, even if you go to LegalZoom and buy each of these individually, you're going to end up spending way more than what Compliant Academy is, and you get way more in return. But those are the 5. Laurel, I'll turn it back over to you, but I had one question to ask everybody, which was, how many of you here today who do not have the book are committed to at least getting a copy of the book, not only for yourself or your business, but it also supports us in what we're doing? You use Laurel's affiliate link, which is just don'tsaythat.com/Laurel. Can you give me a 1 right now in the chat if a commitment you're willing to make right now today is like, hey, you're going to grab a copy of the book? And I'm genuinely sitting here saying, like, guys, this is a mission for us. And I'm not pitching you. Like, I'm just saying this is a mission for us. And trust me, the $7 to $10, even if you buy upsells, none of that makes us any money. But what it does do is it helps us spread the message, right? So today I was so excited because Laurel was like, "Hey, can you come teach us?" And I thought, man, there's going to be like, how many ever new people that will now be able to know about this and go spread the message. So Laurel, there's a lot of people saying that they're in, so that's awesome. But yeah,
that is
Laurel,
a lot.
ask
And
away.
I will say this, if you buy any of that, I will get a small something just to be compliant, right? But one of the things too that I was thinking about as you're saying all of this, so can we go back and like, should we just go and delete all of the content, or will it come back to bite us if we leave it up? What do you suggest
Okay.
for your students?
Yeah, great question. No, you look, I can't go delete stuff because when I settled with them, I signed I don't know, 10 plus year long commitment to preserving every document and everything so that, I don't go out and go around deleting stuff. But you don't have that. So there is something else that a business owner should always have. And that's called a document retention policy. And I never knew about this. Can you imagine? I spent over $1 million with an attorney who's a compliance expert, air quotes, not Greg, obviously. And never once in 12 years did he ever come to me and say, you should have a document retention policy. And so if you get, and hope you never do, but if you get a demand letter from the government or from anybody, it always says that you are to turn over any of these documents and I forgot the exact terminology they use, but it's paraphrasing. It says that are reasonably reachable or something like that. So that are like reasonably within your control. So you don't have to turn over mountains to find what they're asking for. If there's something they're asking for and you generally just don't have it, you can say, sorry, don't have it. You got to be honest and not lie. But you don't have to like go to a company's headquarters and like beg them to get into their server and dig it out or whatever. Like that's, if it's really not within your control to get to, you just say, I don't have it. It's up to them at that point if they want to subpoena that company and get it or not. That's their problem, not yours. But if you have it, if it's on your server and it's reachable, you can't lie. You have to give it to them. So a document retention policy dictates what you do with your documents and what you do with your emails and what you do with your past sales calls. And you know what we had? We had 16,000 sales calls on record. I had them all saved. That was 3 years, by the way, because they don't have any more than 3 years. So they can't cover more than 3 years. We had 3 years. And well, you had more, but I only had to turn over the 3 years. And afterwards, I thought about it when it was too late at that point. Once I got it, I have to preserve everything. But I was like, why the hell do I have all these calls around? Like, what am I doing with a sales call that didn't sell 3 years ago? Why do I still have to have it on my server? Why is it here cluttering up things? And now that it's here, I have to turn it over, right? So I'm just giving them more ammunition because I'm doing my own investigation. Why do I still have, why do I still have a bunch of emails and all this stuff? So technically speaking, I'm adding more risk to my business because now if that server got hacked and those 16,000 sales calls get downloaded, now the FTC is going to come after me for privacy policy problems, privacy invasion, because I, gave up a bunch of people's private conversations. So, Greg, my business partner on this, who's a lawyer at Guardian Law, one of the main things that they do is they help put document retention policies in place for businesses. By the way, that's one of the documents that you actually get when you join Compliant Marketing Academy. But it's not enough. You get the template. I do recommend at least an hour of a lawyer's time to like perfect it. But in that, you can you can say, hey, we keep sales calls for 30 days for compliance reasons, meaning we want to check and make sure we have access to them. But after that, we find it to be a cost and we find it to be a privacy risk. So we delete them and we remove them. Right? We filter out emails after X amount of time. So whatever you don't have to deliver. So definitely don't have a document retention policy for the purposes of hiding, doing nefarious things, and then not having to turn over the documents. That's not good. But just having it, because it's a good business practice anyways, will have a buy kind of a product. Now, if you have past posts that are just absolutely atrocious, yeah, I would say delete or hide them. You have to do kind of your own inventory. So I always use this example. I don't have the glass here anymore, but and a lawyer will never use this example. I'm not a lawyer. I take some liberties to show you things and tell you things that are opinion. Oh, thanks. You got me a glass. So here's a glass. Okay, it's empty. Nothing in the glass. This is your business when you first start and you have no business. No risk. Nada. Nothing. You're good. Like if you're not in business, you're not selling anyone anything, the FTC is not looking at you, you're not waking up every morning thinking about the FTC. There might be other divisions you're looking at, like IRS and all, but not the FTC. Now, the minute I create my LLC, and now I'm in business and I got my first customer, there's a drop of water in here. I have some level of risk just by existing in business. You cannot eliminate that risk, right? I got in my car this morning and I only have to drive about 6 minutes to get to the office. It's a really short drive. But some level of risk was there that I'm going to get run over by a big ass construction truck that's, making a high school near my house right now. So now every time you go out and you do something wrong, that's a compliance issue, add a drop of water in here. The reason you see bigger companies get hit much more often is A, because they're bigger companies, it's more public, you hear about it more. Smaller companies don't get the publicity. But it's also because every time they make a violation or do something wrong, it's more water dropped in. That's all. Versus a smaller company would be 2 drops, a bigger company is like a whole little pour. So if you're leaving some of your old stuff around, but your new stuff is completely clean, you get to make a business decision, right? I don't want people to go like suddenly like just like nuke their entire presence. But technically, according to the law, yeah, they can go 3 years, right? So they can pull stuff up and bring in. Will it make a difference that you've cleaned up now? Absolutely. These are humans on the other side. I saw someone recently post above a comment. They said, hey, how come these Lambros never get hit? They get hit all the time. I can name 3 or 4 Lambros off the top of my head right now that got hit within the last 2 years. You just don't hear about it because they're not big brands, right? One of them got hit at the same time I got hit. So we got our CID, the civil investigative demand, same, like one week apart from each other. Guys, my case took 18 months. That other person's case, 6 months. They came into his case like a freaking bulldozer out of hell. And they basically said, screw you. This is the rules. This is what we're going to do. You either say yay or nay, or we're taking you to court, freezing your assets, and sending you through the absolute hell. With me, 18 months. And we kept going and going. Why? The gray, it matters. They immediately noticed with my company, they're like, it's not what we thought. He's got a lot of stuff that works for him in his favor. He's done a lot of good things. He's an actual business. He's got a physical location. He's got great employees, happy customers. So they got to dig more, dig more, dig more. But they never took that abrasive approach with me. The other person who got the notice a week before me had almost the exact same amount of revenue as I did. But they had a lot more telephone sales, which the FTC hates even more. And the funny thing, not the funny thing, but the thing is that person not only got gouged, actually, I think I had to pay a bigger fine because I had more money, but they got a lifetime ban on business opportunity. They're not allowed to be in that space at all. I didn't get any of that. They threatened me with it. They said it would happen, but by the time the case came, they never even proposed it. I didn't even have to negotiate it out. So yes, of course it makes a difference, right? So if you've cleaned things up, it yes makes a difference because they're going to say, okay, if this is not a problem anymore, we're going to go use our resources elsewhere. They don't have unlimited resources. They have a lot, but not unlimited. So, if you have old posts, that's drops in your glass. And my theory is that once you have enough drops that the glass overflows, that's when the regulators come looking for you. So it's not a gotcha. They're not hiding around the corner. They're not looking for you to be like, aha, he used the results-based testimonial. Go get him. Right? That's not how it works. It's got to be, you got to be repeatedly doing it. So you have a lot of room. You have way more leeway than and most people would think to clean things up, and you have time. It's not something you have to like panic about and do right now. You have time, get it done. Now, my advice changes if someone on this call is doing 10 million a year and they're using telesales pretty actively and they're making all kinds of atrocious claims, and they have been, then I'll tell you, you got about 24 hours. Clean that crap up and get rid of it because you're at much higher risk. Your glass is almost full. Your glass is sitting 6 drops away from being overflowing, right? Versus someone who's like, I'm a coach, I do $500,000 a year, 300,000 a year, and I work with like 20 customers a year max. And so it's like, okay, just, take a deep breath. I was going to tell you, Laurel, like I run ads. I run so much ads now, and I'm still selling in the internet marketing community. I mean, I ran a big campaign that was super profitable where we taught people how to do self-liquidating offers. So Laurel, I mean, we can totally run your ads. I think your community and your brand and what you're doing, I think we could run ads without any problems at all, that are compliant and that'll work. So, it's just the way I've been explaining it to people is if I've been going to the gym for 5 years and I just curl, right? I'm just curling. Like I'll be curling like 200-pound dumbbells on each hand. It's like easy, just sitting there chilling with them, right? But I've never done any other exercise. And then all of a sudden one day someone's like, well, how your triceps looking? I'm like, I don't know. My arms look nice. You ever done a tricep exercise? No. The first time I go to do that thing, it's going to hurt. It's going to be hard. I'm not going to be able to do it. But here I am really strong on the forearm, right? Like on the front. So it's just a new muscle, and it doesn't have to take you forever. If you work with us, especially, it took me a long time, but I've kind of perfected it now. So it's a new muscle. You have to learn it a little bit, a couple months, a month, whatever. But once you get into the rhythm of it, it becomes second nature, like riding a bike or driving a car.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it because it never hurts to just it's more so, and that's what I'm looking forward to having your software the most is just kind of like having peace of mind, just knowing that, that someone's looking out for me with the whole, software thing. Cause going back and it just sounds like a complete nightmare. It would be because I think the way that you said you like connect to your social media just like you would if you're using something like I personally use Metricool, HubSpot or anything like that. I'm assuming the software kind of works like that, where you just connect your social medias and it just kind of scans it like that.
So not yet, it's coming. So
Okay.
that level of connectivity and API is coming in the future, but for now it's still a little bit more like you put your post into it before you post it so that we can tell you what's good and what's not. But the connections are coming. They're in the dev plan right now to do with your ads, to do with your social media posts, to do with your video posts. All of that is doable, but just, got a bunch of developers super busy. And so we're waiting for them to open up and go work on the next thing.
That's awesome. I'm going to ask you one more question because I know we do have a lot of people in the program who are doing affiliate marketing or MLM marketing. Um, does that put them in like the highest risk category, especially like the people who are leading with the make money online type of offers?
Um, if they are an affiliate to another company, it doesn't put them at the highest risk level. The highest risk level is definitely going to be the companies that are actually selling the product. They are the main ones. So, okay, it's just human nature, right? So if there's a car accident, I go to and I got hit. I got hit by a car. I go to my lawyer to retain attorney because I'm like, man, it was so horrible. They hurt me. I'm gonna miss 2 weeks of work. And so the attorney's first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna say, who hit you? And be like, well, it's a 16-year-old kid. They're gonna say, damn it, 16-year-old kid's got no money, right? What am I gonna get out of him? Well, wait, is it his car? No, it's his dad's car.
Mm.
Tell me about his dad. His dad's a very, very successful stockbroker. Ha ha. All right, let's sue the dad, right? And the kid, because it's his car. And that's how that conversation is going to go. So it's really no different human nature wise. So, typically they want to go for the bigger fish that has the money, not because they get to keep it, but that they get to give a bigger announcement. Greg, the attorney, says this, not me. So if the FTC is watching, it's not going to say this. Greg says it. Go get Greg. But Greg says that they live and die for the press releases. That's the trophy at the FTC. They're not after. So the press release is a lot sexier. The bigger the number, they don't get to keep the number. It's nothing to do with them. But it's really cool on a press release, right? So, and apparently Greg says he's seen it where they actually have trophies. They have like when they take a company down, they create a street sign with the company's name on it, and those get like passed out to people, and like it's like a celebratory thing at the FTC. I didn't see that. I went to their office, and it must be a different office, but um they're there for the press releases. So if you're doing affiliate marketing, I mean, you got to follow the laws and follow the rules, of course. But I would say the riskiest people are the ones that are selling the product that you're promoting. Now, if you're one of their biggest affiliates and you're doing sizable revenue with them as their biggest affiliate, then you've got to be careful, because if that company goes down, you can almost well, no, you're guaranteed that the FTC will see your name, because I had to disclose all my top affiliates, top experts. Thankfully, we weren't doing a lot of affiliate stuff. So I didn't really actually have any affiliate that had made a lot of money. We were doing almost all paid traffic, but we did have experts who had made good money. So that's why they dragged in 2 experts. And one of the experts they dragged in had been going through some horrendous things in his life. His wife had cancer. He didn't have insurance. He was paying for all her treatments. He was near bankrupt. He didn't have any money. Yet there he is. They threw his name on there regardless, right? They didn't care. That's why money doesn't matter. They still threw him on there. But yeah, I wouldn't classify you as the highest risk. But the risk is there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Do you have anything to add, Anik? I'm gonna ask my students, like maybe if we're nice to Anik next time, we can get him to come and teach something that's a lot more fun, like webinars are his slow funnel framework. Don't you guys think we should get him
Yeah.
back and to teach something a little bit more fun? But this was amazing, because this is something that, I know you've done a lot, in the last, several minutes to kind of appease a lot of the fears and everything in the room, but it's still one of those things where I'm on the side of it's better to be safe than sorry. And so I truly appreciate you coming in and just, teaching us, what we should be looking out for, what we don't have to worry about, and I always, this is something that I always tell my students, my mentor is amazing, not because he tells me what to do. He basically tells me what to avoid. And I feel like you just did that with all of us. And so thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no, you're most welcome. And I just want to tell everyone, seriously, don't go home and lose sleep over this, but be wise, right? And the conversations I'm having on almost a daily basis right now just does show that it's an active environment. They're active, they're doing what they're supposed to do. So be good. And the other really beacon of hope I want to put out there, guys, is there's no one who has more eyes on them than I do right now on the entire marketing spectrum. You know why? A, I got sued by the FTC. B, I settled with the FTC. So I'm legally, I call it being on parole. For 10 years, I have to check in once a year. My first check-in is coming up in exactly 3 weeks. Every year, I have to do a full written check-in to show them everything I'm doing. I have to reveal everything for 10 years. So 9 more years, I guess now. So I'm actually being watched. I've agreed to be watched by them pretty hardcore. And on top of that, I'm out here talking about compliance. So you don't think there's a bunch of trollers out there just waiting for a gotcha on me? I mean, I get people reporting me to myself all the time. And I'm like, nice try. That wasn't actually a violation. We're really hardcore about this stuff right now. More hardcore than anyone else would even need to be. And I'm partnered with a compliance attorney. So he watches over me too, because he doesn't want to look like an idiot. And I'm out here having the time of my life, converting really well, building a great brand, working with amazing customers. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm telling you, like, so you can do really, really good stuff compliantly, and you'll be happy about it later. You'll be grateful for it later. And in the marketing world. So it's not like, oh yeah, Anik, you're just selling compliance stuff. No, I'm selling courses about marketing. I'm selling courses about webinars. I'm selling courses about building SLO funnels. I'm selling courses about, and we're just getting ready to relaunch a bunch of stuff. I mean, we have a plan right now to go from where we are today to doing over $1 million a month. Probably going to do it in the next 90 days. I mean, no, I've been working on it for a good year, so there's a bunch of stuff being prepped up. We're going to do it all through ads because I don't mess around with anything else. So we're going to do it all through ads. So I'm going to be back out, very public, but I'm doing it in a way I know we're okay, right? It's not, they don't say don't market. The FTC does not say they don't market. They can't. Congressionally, they don't have the right. If they had the ability to just ban all these industries, I feel like the FTC would, but they don't. They don't have that kind of power. So they just want you to market within the guidelines. That's all. And I'd be happy to come back and talk about any other topic. And just, yeah, what my big thing for everyone would be, if you want to share your links again, Laurel, would just be like, guys, I would highly, highly recommend, even if you're just an affiliate, joining us inside the Compliant Academy is a no-brainer. It's 5 payments of $297. So you start today for just your first payment of $297. We don't hold anything back. Not only do you have a certification program on how to be compliant, you have a course from me, an 8-part course that tells you all the triggers that we like to hit non-compliantly. I give you a compliant way to hit those triggers. But the biggest thing that you get out of being a part of our academy is 33 plus disclosures, contracts, and disclaimers. As an affiliate, you need them. You need to have these on your site. There's a big trend right now in class action lawsuits coming out of California. They're 30 to 50 grand a pop. And I'm seeing small sites, small people get bit by them. I know 5 people right now that are dealing with this and negotiating. Well, we have one term that you can put inside of your privacy policy that makes it impossible. Oh, sorry, your terms of use. We have a provision you can put in that makes it impossible for anyone to sue you as a class action. You cannot have a class action lawsuit levied against you. If you have that term in your terms, no class action lawyer will take the case if anyone tries to start. So there's these little areas, right, that you can add your privacy policy. California passed a new law about a year ago. Facebook paid $1 billion on it. Well, now there's a series of firms out of California that are going out and just doing automated scans of privacy policies on websites, affiliate, just beginner site. They don't care about your revenue number, and they're just milking. They're hitting up companies for anywhere between $10,000 to $100,000 or more because they don't have a provision in there that makes them comply with California's rules. Well, we give you that. So just copy paste it. You're good. Now you can't have that lawsuit. GDPR, Europe, you don't have to have that problem. You have a contract coming up. Maybe you have a client who's about to hire you or someone you're about to hire. We have all the provisions that you need to add to protect yourself. So if nothing else, right? If nothing else, just that alone is worth everything. So someone asked, is it a month? No, it's $297 times 5. So after the 5th month, you don't have to pay. As a matter of fact, after you make your first payment, you have the upsell that tells you, hey, pay up, and you'll save an entire payment. So if you pay the next 3 payments, we'll cover the 4th payment. So you have a 1-pay option, but you save some money, but you also have just pay 5 times 297. Right now, anyone who's joining is getting grandfathered in, so there will be no annual renewals. There will be no monthly renewals. And every month you get access to Greg, our attorney. So we come on and do town halls. What's the latest? What's the greatest? While he's on, you can show him your copy. You can show him your site. You can get legal advice, no charge. He doesn't charge you anything. So we have amazing coursework. We have all the legal documents you need. We have the course from him that gets deep into and certifies you. You get a certification on compliance. You have a course from me that tells you what you can do. And then you have access to us to get help and support from us. So Yes, Christine says 297 times 5 months for lifetime access. At the moment, yes. But you can imagine that's not going to be for very long. And that's just because it's our coming out party. So you'll never pay again after that. So I would highly encourage any of you who are very serious to partake and join that. And then, of course, the book, guys. don'tsaysthat.com/Laurel. Lowercase, all lowercase, okay? So Laurel's name, all lowercase. It's $7 for the digital version, $10 for the physical in the United States. Grab it, read it. I promise you, you are going to be mind blown. Rose, great question about the software. I just checked with my team. It's very unfortunate, but we didn't get the monthly plan launched. Actually, Laurel, we were planning on having the freemium version up today and didn't get up. It's going to be up on Monday, which will allow people to get 5,000 words scanned for free. And then after that, we will have a $100 a month plan that goes live on Monday. But for now, it's $1,000 a year and you get 1.2 million words. That's about to drop. Next month, that'll drop to by half. So right now you'll get grandfathered into that as well. So, the software, honestly, guys, if you're at the place where you're like, I don't want to learn all this, I just want like 1 minute scan done. The software is where to go. There's a great demo on the site. Go to complyly.com/Laurel and then just click it. You can watch it and you see how cool it is. It is so epic what it can do and how quickly it can do it.
Yeah. And you guys will see me there too. Cause this is, I'm one of those people where I'm like, oh, I don't want to have to sit and figure this all out. Right. So thank you so much, Anik.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you very much, everybody, for having me here. Thank you for supporting this, Laurel. And anyone, guys, come join. Oh, by the way, I didn't talk about this, but when you buy the book, whether digital or physical, you get access to our FTC Compliance Connect community. I am in there 50 times a day. I seriously am answering questions, like literally for just the book. There's no recurring, there's no nothing. All right, the book. If you ever have a question or issue, I help as much as I can. I'm not a lawyer, but I help as much as I can. So get the book, join the community. You'll love it in there. We have a blast. And as always, Laurel, thank you so much. And if I can be of service in any way, reach out. Let me know.
Absolutely. We will. Likewise, Anik as well. But you guys, love all
Yeah.
of you guys. I will always bring in, like I said, if I don't know, or if I'm not an expert in something, I'm always going to bring in my friends who are. And so if you guys have any requests for any guests or any trainings, just let me know and I will do my best to make it happen. Love all of you guys and have an amazing weekend.